Hi guys. Um, it's almost 7 o'clock in the morning. I never get up this early. Baby's sleeping, and I just couldn't go back to sleep after breastfeeding him like an hour ago. And the thoughts are just running around in my head. And it just hit me that like I don't feel okay with this. And I just understood why. Because I got a letter from the hospital. I reported them to the authorities that deal with like when you have issues with healthcare, and their job is to like communicate between the person who's reporting the hospital and the hospital, so they get a chance to answer. I get a chance to tell my story, what happened, and the hospital get a chance to answer. And yesterday I read the letter. I've had it for a couple of days. I didn't read it, and yesterday I read it and I was like, okay. I had a meeting with like some of my dancing girls, and they read it with me because I wasn't really interested in reading it at first, because the whole point of me doing this thing, like reporting the hospital, was for them to look over how they deal with the patients that come in to give birth. So basically, when next time when a woman comes in and her water broke and she's having strong contractions and she's begging to stay at the hospital, that they actually let her stay. That's like my goal. And I feel like now when I'm thinking about it, I feel like they don't care at all. They're just trying to give me. Let me read the letter for you. And I didn't want to talk to them again. Like, I don't want to talk to them. I don't feel good communicating with them. I just want them to look at what happened, take it seriously, and make some changes in their department. Like, and I know I'm not the only person that this has happened to. I mean, to send me home, giving me an injection to, first of all, slow down the contractions. I didn't know that could be dangerous. I know that now. It's like you guys told me, made me aware of stuff. Giving me morphine and a sleeping pill to go home and rest so that I could wait to come back the next day. Like, why? How could that help my labor? No, that put me in danger and my child in danger. And I specifically asked, won't this affect the baby? No. This won't affect the baby. But and at the same time, when I'm asking, like, because one of the time, no, even when I was at the hospital and when I called them, I don't know if it's in the video, but I asked them so about which pain relief I can get, because I wanted to be out of my pain, and my plan from the start was to get an epidural. I didn't get that on my first birth. I really wanted to get that this time if there was a chance. And I've asked them twice, can I get an epidural? When can you get epidural? Oh, no, it's too early and it can slow down your contractions, which we don't want. Oh, so I couldn't get an epidural to slow down the contractions, but you can give me an injection to slow down the contractions because you don't want me to stay at the hospital. You want me to go home. And this have nothing to do with the corona situation, because I know this happened to women before that. This to me, this is something to do with like just how they're used to dealing with patients, because maybe probably usually it will take longer to deliver a child. I don't know, but and to one of the nurses, midwives the one who stopped us at the door and said, "What are you doing? You were supposed to go home." And to her I said, like, but when I felt like this with my first child, it was only like 2.5 hours until he was out. I don't think she forwarded that information, and this is why I'm upset too. The doctor who prescribed the medication, the doctor never saw me, and the doctor haven't answered. Is one of the midwives, one of the like 5 different midwives that I was in contact with that night, that answered. She's not the one fully responsible. It's the doctor that prescribed the medication without even talking to me. Maybe if they talked to me, they would have known that my first child was born fast, and how strongly affected by the contractions I were. No, it was the midwife giving me an examination, and she was not the same one who had contact with me through the night. I'd never seen her before. She's the one who went out of the room and talked to the doctor and prescribed me the medication. I don't know what she told the doctor. I really don't want to have to contact them again, but it's like, all right, I'm gonna try to freely translate, because this is in Swedish, their answer. Maybe I can take a picture and put this in for those of you who speak Swedish. All right. So I can't see. Yeah, it's one person who signed this. I'm from what she's writing, I'm guessing it's the midwife that gave me the second examination, the one when they said, okay, I can examine you, but after that you have to go home. After we were sitting outside on the bench waiting. What happened is really unfortunate, and I acknowledge the fact that we did not it's so hard to translate this, because the words you use is like words that I don't want to make them mean something that they don't. She's basically saying that she understood that they have not met me in a satisfying way enough to be able to avoid what happened, that I had to give birth in a car. She said, we're sorry that you felt that you were refused healthcare. When I received you, I offered you a new examination to see if your cervix was changed since the previous examination that was made by a different midwife. My examination showed that the status had not changed, and I counseled with and asked team leader, and together with them we decided that you could go home because the status of your cervix was not changed. And the status of my cervix was that I was dilated 3 centimeters, but not fully effaced. So we stuck to the original plan that we had since the first examination, that you will call the next day to be induced, or to call earlier when the contractions became more regular. How can she write that? My contractions were regular. I had contractions every 3 to 5 minutes that were really intense when I did the second examination. Wow. I also asked our doctor, who was a jourhavande doctor. That means that I don't know if the doctor was there or not, but they weren't like working, they were on, what's it called when you're not there actively working, but you can be called in for advice and stuff. Anyways, she asked the doctor who prescribed a sleeping dose, she called it sleeping dose, which is pain relief, and a sleeping pill. Yeah, same thing I said. The injection, I don't know what it was, but the injection was supposed to slow down the contractions, morphine tablet, and paracetamol, Alvedon. according to a senior colleague, you felt that you experienced that it felt okay to go home after pain relief. We're sorry for this miscommunication and our failure to listen to you, that it did not feel okay to go home. That's the last part. Well, okay. She said see, this is the problem when a lot of different people are treating you in the same night. One of them talked to the next one, who talked to the next one, and all of them seemed to think that I wasn't really in labor. If one of them maybe talked to me through the night, they would notice how I changed. For the first examination, I was like, yeah, nice. Like, I don't really feel anything because the contractions were mild. And then when I came back around, when we parked the car and came back in, I was like severely affected by the contractions. Anyways, I specifically said, I don't want to go home. I cannot, in this state, go all the way home and then come all the way back here again. I just can't. I want to come inside and give birth. I am giving birth. Specifically, I said that. They said, we understand, but we cannot give you a room until you're in active labor. We have to keep that room for someone who comes in and who is actually about to give birth. First of all, to say that to a person who is in such extreme labor pains, that was horrible. That's what they told me right before they let me use the bathroom. And then after I just sat down there and felt like I can't go home. Like, it don't make no sense to go home. I'm about to give birth. When we sat down on the bench outside, and when they come and told us you can't sit here, they started asking me, is it not a safe place for you at home? Like, why do you don't want to go home? And I was just inside me like, really? But I couldn't even communicate with them at that point because I was in pain. I was busy with labor, and I should have been able to be taken care of so I could focus on my contractions instead of going through this battle in the middle of my labor. She said, okay, I can examine you again and you can go hem och sova dosen, they called it, like go home and sleep dose. After that, you really have to go. You have to go home. She told me that I never had a choice to stay or go. I told them the whole time I want to stay. I never had a choice to stay. She said, I can give you the examination. After that, you have to go home. If the cervix is not effaced. Or she said, if your status is not changed or whatever, I don't know. So to me it sounds like, first of all, the doctor haven't answered. It's only one of the midwives who answered, the one who gave me the second examination. I don't know if I'm going to get more answers, but it looks like this is it. And I'm not sure. I expected all of them who was working that night and also to the whole department to sit down and have talks about how they can change how they receive patients. And because what I've heard to what I've always been told is that you need to have regular contractions every 3 to 5 minutes. And you need to have your cervix effaced and be dilated 4 centimeters to be allowed to stay at the hospital and to get a room. And I didn't have all those things, but I still needed them. I still needed to stay. So that's why I did this, because I want them to talk about if they need to change how they do things. But one of the midwives the day after, when we came back, when we already had the baby and we came back and got all the examinations and stuff, one of the midwives the next day, she said, so when she apologized also. Many of them apologized the second day, and some of them seemed to feel really bad about how their co-workers had treated me the night before. And one of them, she said, when I told her, yeah, but I guess it's because you have your rules and you're not allowed to let me in unless I'm dilated fully and whatever, 4 centimeters and all these things. She said, oh, but no, it's not strict like that. And she said, your water broke and this is your second child. She said, I would never have let you home. This is not your first child. I would never have let you home. So, I don't know, but at least the woman saying that they're sorry that they didn't hear properly that it didn't felt okay for me to go home, which doesn't make any sense to me, because this person specifically who wrote this, she's the one who said, I can give you the examination, but after that you have to go home. They never asked me if it felt okay to go home. So that part is a lie, and then she's blaming it on a colleague, saying that another colleague said that it felt okay for you to go home. Which colleague? You give me the examination. You're the one I talked to. You helped me with some of the contractions. She held her head here on my forehead and it felt so good. I was like, please stay. Please do this. Then she left the room and said, I'll be back in 20 minutes. I stayed in there alone for about half an hour. Alone with my contractions. JR wasn't allowed to come inside. Alright, I just wanted to update you guys with this. I'm thinking I'll still do another video where I talk about actually giving birth and what happened in the car. That's an all positive experience. That was only like a good memory. So yeah, next time I'll talk about that, and ask questions if you have specific questions that about the birth that I didn't answer in my first video or in this one. Thanks for listening. I just need to talk to someone. Maybe I can go back to sleep now.